Was I wrong for thanking my dad for disowning me on my graduation day? Because that's exactly what I did. I stood there, cap and gown on, diploma in one hand and a thick stack of disownment papers in the other, and I looked him dead in the eye, gave him a genuine, heartfelt smile, and said, "Thank you." My sister, who had her phone practically glued to my face, filming my supposed breakdown, almost dropped it. The look on her face was priceless, a mix of confusion, shock, and pure, unadulterated rage that her little show wasn't going as planned. "Tell me honestly, what would you have done? Would you have cried, screamed, begged, or would you have done what I did?" Let me take you back to the beginning to understand how we even got to that point, because trust me, it wasn't a sudden twist of fate. This animosity, this deep-seated resentment had been brewing for years, a slow poison seeping into every crack of our supposed family unit. I was always the odd one out, the black sheep, the disappointment. My older sister, Sarah, was the golden child. Perfect grades cheerleader, always popular, always doing exactly what our parents expected. Me. I was quiet, introspective, loved books more than parties, and had a knack for asking too many inconvenient questions. From a young age, it was clear I didn't fit the mold. Every achievement of mine was met with a lukewarm response, often followed by a comparison to Sarah's latest triumph. If I got an A, Sarah got an A+ and a scholarship. If I won a small art competition, Sarah was headlining the school play. It was exhausting, constantly feeling like I was living in her shadow, a shadow that my parents actively cultivated. Our home was less a sanctuary and more a stage for Sarah's continuous performance, with my parents as her adoring audience and me, an uncredited extra who occasionally messed up a line. My aspirations were often ridiculed. I wanted to pursue creative writing and photography, subjects my father deemed unrealistic and frivolous. "You need a real job, a stable career like your sister." He'd often boom, his voice echoing the disapproval I felt radiating from him and my mother. Sarah, of course, was pursuing pre-med, the ultimate respectable career in their eyes. She never missed an opportunity to rub it in, either. "Enjoy your starving artist life, loser," she'd sneer, knowing it would sting. My mother would just sigh dramatically and tell me I needed to grow up and be more practical. The tension escalated significantly when I started applying to colleges. I'd secretly applied to a few art schools and universities with strong creative writing programs, alongside a couple of safe options to appease my parents. When the acceptance letters started rolling in, one particularly from a prestigious art institute with a partial scholarship, I was ecstatic. I remember practically running to show them, hope blooming in my chest that maybe, just maybe, this time they'd be proud. Instead, my father took the letter, glanced at it for a second, then crumpled it into a ball and threw it in the trash. "Absolutely not," he declared. "You're going to State University, like we discussed. You'll major in something useful." My mother nodded in agreement, adding, "It's for your own good, dear. You'll thank us later." I was devastated. It felt like they were actively trying to extinguish any spark of individuality I had. I went to State University, as commanded, but I pursued my passions in secret. I took elective courses in creative writing and photography, joined student clubs related to art, and started building a portfolio. I worked part-time jobs to save up, knowing that eventually I'd need to fund my own escape. My parents, meanwhile, were footing the bill for Sarah's expensive apartment near her pre-med campus, her fancy car, and pretty much every whim she had. They barely even remembered I was in college, let alone what I was studying. They'd occasionally call to ask about my grades, but their questions were superficial, just a quick check to ensure I wasn't an absolute failure. They never once asked about my experiences, my friends, or if I was happy. The breaking point, or perhaps the slow, agonizing snap, came during my final year. I had poured my heart and soul into my senior thesis project, a photography series depicting the hidden beauty in mundane urban landscapes, accompanied by poetic narratives. It was raw, honest, and deeply personal. It also won a significant regional award, complete with a cash prize and an invitation to display my work in a gallery. This was huge. This was validation. This was everything I had been working towards, proof that my frivolous passions had merit. I called my parents, vibrating with excitement, convinced that this time they would finally see. My father's response was a grunt. "That's nice, I suppose. Did you finish your actual degree requirements?" My mother added, "And what about Sarah's medical school interviews? Those are far more important, dear." They didn't even acknowledge the award, the gallery, or the prize money. It was as if I hadn't said anything at all. Sarah, who was listening in on speakerphone, piped up, "Oh, please, it's just some artsy-fartsy hobby award, hardly a real achievement, is it?" That call was the moment something inside me truly died. Any lingering hope that they might one day accept me for who I was, or even acknowledge my existence beyond a comparison to Sarah, vanished. I realized then that their love, if you could even call it that, was conditional, based entirely on my ability to conform to their narrow definition of success. A definition I could never and would never meet. I stopped trying after that. I stopped calling them, stopped visiting. My replies to their sporadic texts became monosyllabic. I focused entirely on my own future, building my network within the art community, saving every penny and planning my move. I secured an internship at a small but reputable art studio in a different city, a place where creativity was celebrated, not stifled. The plan was to move immediately after graduation. They, of course, knew none of this. They assumed I would come back home, get some real job, and eventually become Sarah's lesser appendage. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Here I was at my graduation ceremony, about to receive my diploma, and knowing what my parents and sister were capable of, I had a gut feeling something was coming. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. How would you have reacted? Knowing years of dismissal, ridicule, and outright rejection had culminated in this one moment. Graduation day arrived, a beautiful sunny day that felt utterly at odds with the storm brewing within me. I was nervous, not about the ceremony itself, but about the inevitable interaction with my family. They were there, of course, in the front row, beaming, but not at me. Their smiles were for the cameras, for the show, for the idea of their successful children. Sarah was beside them, practically vibrating with smugness. I walked across the stage, accepted my diploma, and felt a strange mix of accomplishment and emptiness. I found them after the ceremony, as expected. My dad pulled me aside, a serious expression on his face, which immediately put me on guard. Sarah, ever the performer, already had her phone out, recording. She probably envisioned this as her viral moment, capturing her sister's humiliation for the world to see. My dad cleared his throat, a theatrical gesture he often used before delivering bad news. "We, as a family, have decided to cut ties with you," he stated, his voice devoid of emotion. "Your choice is your refusal to conform to our expectations, your disrespect. It's become too much. We can't support you anymore, financially or emotionally. We believe it's best for everyone if we go our separate ways." He then handed me a thick, official-looking envelope. "These are the disownment papers, legally binding. They outline everything. You are no longer our responsibility, from all of us." He emphasized all of us, glancing at my mother, who just looked away, and at Sarah, who was practically vibrating with malicious glee. Her phone held steady. For a split second, I felt a familiar pang of hurt, a residual echo of the little girl who just wanted her parents' approval. But that feeling was quickly overshadowed by something else, something I hadn't expected. Immense relief. It was like a colossal weight had been lifted from my shoulders, a burden I hadn't even realized I was still carrying. They had made the decision for me, a decision I had been circling around for years, too afraid to fully commit to. They had given me my freedom, neatly packaged and legally binding. So I looked at him, really looked at him, and then I looked at Sarah, who was practically drooling at the prospect of my tears. I smiled, a genuine, wide, and utterly unexpected smile. "Thank you," I said, my voice clear and steady. "Thank you so much. This is the best graduation present I could have ever asked for." I took the papers, careful not to crumple them, and tucked them under my arm, next to my diploma. I then stood up straighter, met his gaze, and for the first time in my life, felt truly free. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by Sarah's sputtering as she tried to process what had just happened. Her phone wavered, her carefully constructed narrative crumbling before her eyes. My dad's jaw dropped. My mother finally looked at me, her face a mask of shock. They had clearly expected tears, begging, a dramatic breakdown. Instead, they got gratitude. "What do you mean, thank you?" My father finally managed, his voice laced with confusion and anger. "I mean exactly that," I replied, feeling a power I had never known. "You've released me from an obligation I didn't want. You've given me the permission I needed to finally live my own life, without the constant judgment and disappointment. This is liberating." I gestured to the papers. "Now I don't have to pretend anymore. I can be who I am, without constantly trying to earn something that was never truly offered." Sarah finally found her voice, a shrill, angry sound. "You ungrateful brat, this is supposed to devastate you. You're supposed to be heartbroken." I just chuckled. "Heartbroken, Sarah, I mourned this family years ago. This just makes it official. I'm actually quite thrilled." I looked at my dad, a genuine smile on my face. "Don't worry, you won't have to worry about me asking for anything ever again. I've got my own plans, my own life, far away from here, and frankly, it's going to be glorious." I turned, leaving them standing there, dumbfounded and fuming. I could hear Sarah's angry protests fading behind me as I walked away, towards my new life, towards the gallery internship, towards a future I had built for myself, piece by painful piece. The weight was truly gone. I was finally free. The aftermath has been, predictably, quiet on their end. I moved to the new city, started my internship, and have been pouring all my energy into my art. I occasionally see passive, aggressive posts from Sarah on social media about family loyalty and disrespectful children, but I've blocked her and my parents, so I only hear about them through mutual acquaintances who occasionally send me screenshots, expressing their disbelief. My art career is slowly but surely taking off. I'm exhibiting my work, selling pieces, and truly thriving in a supportive community that values creativity. The Disownment papers sit framed on my desk, a powerful reminder of the day I truly became myself. It serves as a constant source of motivation, a symbol of freedom. They truly had no idea that their attempt to break me would be the very thing that set me free. So that's my story. I ended up getting the best graduation gift possible, my freedom. Like this video, if you were on my side. Subscribe for more stories like this, and please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. Did I do the right thing? I'll see you all in the next story.